the simplest program you could ever write in C++. It goes like this. Main is a function that returns 1. So in C++, any code that runs is going to run from within a function, which is a block of code with a name, a list of arguments, and a return value of a given type. In this case, we don't have any arguments, and our return value is of type int or integer. You can name functions however you want, but your program is always going to have a single main function. Now a byte is 4 bits, so 4 bytes are 32 bits. You can represent 4.3 billion different numbers with 4 bytes. So I'm using Visual Studio for this lesson, and VC gives me a bunch of tools I can use to watch what happens behind the scenes. The first thing I'm going to do then is set a breakpoint. Now a breakpoint is going to stop my program's execution at the line at which it's set. Then I'm going to build and start my program. And my program is going to start at its breakpoint. So the second thing I'm going to do is open a watch window. A watch window lets me see the value of the variables as my program executes. I can ask to see the value of variables I've defined. Now, main is a function, and therefore it also exists in memory. So I can ask to see its address. In C++, anytime I want to see the address of something, all I have to do is write the name of that thing with an ampersand just before. So this is telling me that my function main begins at address 011b1650. I can go to that address by opening a memory window and see what's stored in those memory locations. But right now, it's not going to tell me much. However, I can also open a disassembly window and see the machine code behind my source code. As you can see, the first instruction is also at 011b1650. And the instruction is push EBP. Now, EBP is called the base pointer. In programming, you push a value onto a stack when you want to replace it by something else, and then you pop it off when you want to restore it. And a stack is simply a chunk of memory that can grow or that can shrink. Pushing EBP onto the stack and setting it to the value of a stack pointer, ESP, are the first things a function does when it receives control from the calling function. In the next lesson, we're going to talk a bit more about what that means. So for now, let's just resume this first lesson. We were on our way to say hello world, but in order to do so, we had to write our first function, which was main. And then we discovered that it had an address in memory, so we went to that address and we met the very first instruction of our program, and that turned out to be a single byte with a value of 55. So then we dug a bit further and we looked at the disassembly code, and we discovered that 55 was really just machine speak for an instruction called move EBP.